Okay, Dayton City Commission meeting will now come to order. Please rise for the invocation, which will be given this morning by Commissioner Joseph. All right.
Thank you, Mayor. Dear Lord, thank you for your many blessings. Please give us the wisdom, the grace, and humility to serve you well.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So Jackson, may we have the roll call, please?
Mayor Mims,
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw,
Aye.
Joseph,
Aye.
Fairchild,
Aye.
Turner-Sloss.
Aye.
Okay, may I have a motion then to approve the minutes from the January 15th meeting?
So moved, John.
Second the motion, Your Honor.
Okay, it's been probably moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the January 15th meeting. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Okay, thank you. So, Ms. Jackson, do we have any communications or petitions?
No, sir, we do.
No. Okay, I know we do have a presentation this morning, so I'd like to call to the podium Ms. Tracy Tomey, President and CEO of the Dayton Society of Natural History, to the podium to give a community update on the status and happenings of the Sunwatch Indian Village. Good morning.
Good morning, thank you.
Okay. Thought out?
I'll try to keep it brief, but I have a lot of things to talk about. I did give you handouts, so
Yes,
I
ma'am.
won't read the handout to you.
We got that?
So I just wanted to remind you that the museum actually opened with the library in 1893. Not everybody remembers that. Our collections, which we have 1.8 million objects, survived the flood because they were on the top floor of the library, so that was a bonus. And we are beginning a big $10.5 million project to do a lot of major renovations to our first floor and parts of the second floor. It is definitely time. Most of that was installed in 1991. So our 10.5 million project, we're now at 4.5 million. So I just wanted to let you know we are moving right along, and that will be focused around Dayton's water and rivers, which of course also touches Sunwatch. So Sunwatch and the museum are both on our rivers. So with our lease agreement with Sunwatch, we are supposed to give you an annual report. My apologies, I don't think I have done a very good job of that, but we're going to do better. So here we are.
Okay.
We have recently completed about $1 million in updates at Sunwatch. Much of that was under a National Endowment for the Humanities grant, and that improved ADA accessibility. We updated the downstairs bathrooms, we redid the front parking lot, we updated our lighting in the parking lot. We added entrance buttons to the front doors for accessibility, and we replaced the path through the village, so it's now very rollable and accessible to go through the village. We also replaced one of the HVAC units, and I know the city helped us a lot with HVAC, so that might sound familiar, but this one is different. Over at Sunwatch, that was not included in the city funding. That was under the grant funding. I do also want to drop to the next section and remind you of the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, NAGPRA. We are doing a lot of work right now. We have a National Park Service grant for $100,000. That's for 1 year, and that is helping us do consultation work with tribes. So the Ohio area is sort of a donut. There are no tribal historic, nationally recognized tribes that are distinctly attached to Ohio area, but there are a lot of tribes who may have cultural affiliation with Ohio. So we are reaching out to 65 different tribes for consultation as we work through this process. As you know, we do have quite a lot of objects from Sunwatch that were dug in the 70s and 80s. We no longer do any archaeological digs out at Sunwatch. There's no reason to, but we do protect the area. So we have reached out, and I have the list of all of the different tribes, of the ones who have responded. We have 30 who would like to be included in this consultation work, and we are setting up official consultation meetings, with the first one being on January 29th. It is invitation only, but if you feel like someone in this group needs to be invited, please let us know. And then I also would like to draw your attention to Wagerson Gardens, because that is also an area that was dug in the 70s and 80s, and I think even beyond that, that still does have in situ materials, and so we need to keep an eye on Wagerson as well. And we have some objects in our collections that are from Wagerson. So as we're doing repatriation work on effectively city property within the Sunwatch Village, I really feel like you need to know this is happening and stay on top of what we're doing there. So that is really the main things I wanted to bring to your attention. I want to also thank the city for all of the support and everything that you have done. I think we've had a very long relationship together, a very positive relationship. And we do a lot of work with Karen Thomas through City of Dayton Water. We'll continue to do those programs, reaching out into schools and also having a presence within the museum. And then I did brief with Chris Clark last May 2023, on Sunwatch updates as well. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. Questions, commissioners? Commissioner Turner-Sloss?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, ma'am. Thank you, Ms.
morning.
Tommy, for being here. And I just wanted to, again, give you acknowledgement and appreciation for you providing an update. And as you already mentioned, moving forward, you will come back and see us annually, or nonetheless, you will send over an annual report. So thank you, and please let us know how we can continue to be of support. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Fairchild?
Thank you for the update. Thank you for this important work. Thank you for your stewardship of these lands and this history and culture. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I know you've been very involved.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Yeah,
Commissioner Shaw?
Same, thanks for your work, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Joseph?
Yep. Same as my colleagues, we appreciate your work on this. This is important work. Commissioner Fairchild and I have talked pretty often about this. We really appreciate you leading the region's efforts on this.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're here to help in any way we can. If any other projects come up or you need any advice with consultation work or NAGPRO work, please let us know. We're happy to
Okay.
help.
We'll call you. We may not wait a year, but
That's okay. You can call me
All right.
anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, all right. So, Ms. Jackson, do we have any additions, deletions, or comments to the calendar?
No, Mayor, we do not.
Okay. Ms. Lofton, any additions, deletions, or comments to the calendar?
I have none, Your Honor.
Okay, man, that's good. Okay, good. So, Ms. Jackson, do we have any citizens who would like to speak on city manager's recommendations?
Mayor, there are none that have registered to speak on city manager's recommendations.
Okay. Commissioners, comments, questions on city manager's recommendations? Commissioner Turner-Sloss?
I have none, Your Honor.
None?
Thank you.
Commissioner Fairchild?
I have none.
Okay.
None here.
None here. Okay, then, I take a motion then to approve the city manager's recommendations.
I move to approve the city manager's recommendations.
Second, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, it's been probably moved and seconded to approve the city manager's recommendations. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Okay, thank you. Legislation then.
Legislation, second reading, ordinance number 32138-25, to vacate the alley east of Dayton Kettering Connector from the north property line of parcel R1213903-0015 to Shroyer Road. Mayor Mims,
Aye.
Commissioner Joseph.
Aye.
Shaw.
Aye.
Fairchild.
Aye.
Turner-Sloss.
Aye.
First reading resolution number 6845-25, declaring the intention of the commission to vacate Hickory Street from the western terminus to Alberta Street. That is all.
Okay. So I do have a board appointment or board appointments. Mr. Joseph.
Your Honor, I move to appoint Stephen Solomon and Adam Graham to the Sister Cities Committee for a term ending December 31st, 2028.
Second, Your Honor.
Okay, it's been probably moved and seconded to approve Stephen Solomon and Adam Graham to the Sister Cities Committee for a term ending December 31st, 2028. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Okay, all right, thank you. So now, we do have a public hearing. I'd like to open the public hearing. Hi, Ms. Lofton?
Mayor, I'd like to invite Ms. Abby Patel Jones, Director of the Office of Management and Budget, to the podium to share some information regarding the 2025 original appropriation budget, how we got to this point, and what our next steps are in adopting the budget.
Okay. Good morning, Ms. Jones.
Thank you, and good morning, Mayor Mims, Commissioners, City Manager, and Clerk. Today, Today's agenda includes the summary of budget process to date, the 2025 budget overview, which includes major budget solutions specifically for the general fund, and the budget resolution. And lastly, we will go over some of the key dates that are associated with the 2025 budget. Okay, so as the city manager. All right. As the city manager mentioned, today's public hearing is being held for the 2025 appropriation. The planning and development of the 2025 budget began back in July. Before this morning's public hearing, the public input process for the annual budget included the city manager's revenue advisors group, the Dayton survey, and public access to the proposed budget through city's transparency portal called the Dayton Open Data. This slide provides an overview of the critical component of the budget process, which spans nearly 9 months. While the graphic may be a little bit hard to see with the small boxes, but it is a very good representation of the critical parts of the budget process. On the left side, we have the key public processes, while the right side lists the key administrative processes. Below the key public processes, you'll see the participants who contribute to the budget process, including the Dayton residents, the city commission, the city manager's office, and the departments, who all provide an input and feed into the budget process on a continuous basis. The public input includes initiatives such as the Dayton Annual Survey, which was mailed to the households in the late summer of 2024. The survey is currently in the final stages of being prepared by the vendor, and we hope to present the findings to you in the next few months. We also gather input through the Dayton Open Data portal, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. That allows residents to view the city's financial information and provide feedback through the portal. Additionally, there are boards and advisory groups such as the Community and Neighborhood Development Advisory Board and Revenue Advisory Committee. Those boards and advisory groups also play an integral role in the budget process. There's also the community engagement events like the Mayor's Porch Tour and the Neighborhood President Forums, providing valuable feedback. The City Commission office also contributes through regular interactions with the City Manager's office, including the budget briefings, an annual performance management report, the monthly Finance Committee briefings, and the quarterly presentations. The City Manager also provides budget direction and recommendations, while the individual departments are actively involved through meetings during the peak budget season. All of these contributions help prioritize and set direction for the budget process. After analyzing the 6 months of data, we begin estimating the revenues for the upcoming fiscal year. But before we finalize the revenue projections, we do vet those revenue projections with the Revenue Advisory Group and incorporate their feedback into the budget process. This extensive process culminates in the department development of the city manager's recommended budget, which was presented to the City Commission on October 16th, 2024. The budget process and timeline has been adjusted for the last 2 budget cycles, and this adjusted timeline does allow for a time necessary to deliberate and provide input by the Commission. The next slide talks about the major solutions specifically for the general fund. Based on the projected revenues and expenditures, 2025 general funds budget did require us coming up with some major budget solutions so we can balance the budget. I'll highlight a few of the key components. The first item is $700,000 from increasing the centralized vacancy savings. This reflects the anticipated savings from continued vacancy savings across the organization that we have experienced. $3.8 million is from a transfer from the photo enforcement fund. These funds were reallocated to support the general fund, compensating for the loss of revenue in local government fund due to the operating of the traffic enforcement camera program. $3.3 million is from additional investment earnings, thanks to the higher interest rates that we've experienced for the past few years, and the increased cash balance resulting from the ARPA revenue. We expect this trend to continue into 2025. However, as the ARPA funds are spent down, these projections do assume a reduction from 2024 to 2025. Then we have 1.5 million with one health insurance holiday that we plan to exercise in 2025. We also have 313,600 from organization-wide contracts and material savings. These reductions were identified through a careful review of contracts and material across all departments in the organization. And lastly, we have 1.2 million of the use of cash reserve, which totals to nearly $10.9 million. Before I go through the budget resolution here, the appropriation is city's legal authority to make the expenditures and incur obligations. The city charter requires the city commission to adopt the budget resolution prior to beginning of the new fiscal year. The charter also requires that the city manager prepare an ordinance, appropriation ordinance, consistent with the adopted budget, which is the temporary resolution. State law requires that the annual appropriation be adopted no later than April 1st. This table shows the 2025 budget resolution as outlined in the ordinance, in the temporary ordinance, and as presented during the October work session. As you can see, the governmental fund, including the general fund, special revenue fund, debt service, capital projects, and permanent funds, totals to $346.4 million. You can see on the side there the special revenue fund. Special revenue fund does include various fund types, which are roadway maintenance, HUD operating and non-operating funds, miscellaneous grant funds, local fiscal recovery fund, and other special revenue. Special revenue after the general fund is the second largest category in the governmental fund type. The second part of the table shows the enterprise funds, including water and aviation, which totals to $238.3 million. And lastly, we have the internal service funds, which are $59.9 million. The total ordinance is $644.7 million and does not include prior year's reappropriated budget. However, it does reflect the operating and capital budgets as we discussed during the budget work session. For any of the community members who are interested in the detailed proposed budget organized by the community service area, community priorities, and program areas, all presentations from the work session are available online on the city's website under the Department of Management and Budget. Also, the budget presentations were streamed live and recorded and made available on city's YouTube channel. The information, like I mentioned earlier, is also available on the city's financial transparency portal on the Dayton Open Data for anyone who would like to dig more into detail in the 2025 budget. That being said, the last slide includes some of the key dates. So on January 12th, we published a public notice in the newspaper for this specific public hearing. On February 2nd, the appropriation will be published in the Dayton Daily News, with first reading taking place on February 19th and second reading taking place on February 26th. After the second reading, the 2025 original appropriation will be effective 30 days after, which is March 28th. And unless there are any questions, we can proceed with the public hearing.
Okay, first, do we have any citizens who are registered to speak on the public hearing?
No, Your Honor, we do not.
Okay, commissioners, comments on public hearing? Commissioner Turner-Sloss?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Ms. Patel-Jones, for the overview. Thank you, Ms. Lofton, for inviting Ms. Patel-Jones this morning. Could you please, first of all, again, thank you, and thank you for highlighting the key dates and identifying the process itself. So I really appreciate you providing that high-level overview. Could you just please remind the public of the number of households that, in fact, receive the survey? I know you mentioned that as one of the means for the public to provide their input in the budget process. Just, again, for public's sake, if you could just give everyone a reminder of that process.
Yeah, we mailed out 13,000 mailers to in expectation of receiving about 10% feedback from the community. And so that is our standardized data set, which gives us a statistically significant response to be able to say, this is the voice of the community. And so, yes, we did send out 13,000 and we received a little over 1,300.
Okay. And these are randomly selected households,
Correct.
right? And there was another means, correct me if I'm wrong, there was an opportunity for those to participate online, is that correct? Do I have that right? Or it was, again, randomly selected for residents who were invited to participate online?
They are randomly selected addresses, which satisfies our need for having a randomized sample size and the statistical significance. The survey does include a QR code, and so if you do receive a paper survey, you are able to take the survey online by scanning the QR code. We did also send out the survey via the social media for the targeting those 13,000 households that receive the paper mailers to encourage them to take the survey, and that's how we were able to get our 10% response.
Okay. And there's still an opportunity for those who may have any questions or comments, they still have an opportunity to provide those. Is that correct?
The survey has been closed.
Not the survey, excuse me, the appropriations itself.
Yeah, the appropriation will be published in the newspaper on
Right.
February 2nd, and we will not have the first reading until the 19th. So
Right.
there is still opportunity.
Okay, thank you. And if we could, Ms. Jackson, get a hard copy of the presentation from Ms. Patel Jones. Thank you, Ms. Patel Jones.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Fairchild.
I have no question.
Okay. Again, thank you so much for the presentation. It shows that the continued openness, if you will, relative to transparency as far as the budget is concerned, to get more and more citizens an opportunity to let us know what's on their mind. All right? So thank you. So, Commissioners, you had your chance to say what you need to say, and I will now close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Okay. So what's the pleasure of the commission? All good? Good. Move forward. Okay? Thank you. So at this point, Ms. Jackson, do we have any citizens who are registered to speak?
Yes, Your Honor. We have 3 citizens that are registered to speak. I would like to state that there are a 3-minute time limit. As you address the commission, we ask that you state your name and address for the record. At that time, I will turn on the green light. When the green light comes on, you will have 3 minutes to speak. After you have spoken 2.5 minutes, a yellow light will come on, and you will have 30 seconds, not minutes, 30 seconds remaining to speak. When the red light comes on, you will be asked to cease your comments and take your seat. To the audience in attendance, please be mindful this is a business meeting, and we will kindly request that during this portion of the meeting, you refrain from any hand clapping, finger snapping, and conversation that would prevent the City Commission from hearing the speaker's comments. Our first person would be Mr. Kiwamwe, Mr. Watanza. And I apologize for that.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Hope nobody is frostbitten. My name is Kimaru Atenza. I live at 1200 West Grand Avenue, Dayton, Ohio, 45402.
You may begin.
This morning, I would like to address the fact that I am the Montgomery County elected precinct captain for 5E, for Dayton 5E. And often I just ride around that area that I was elected to represent to see what is being done, and I am still very disappointed, beyond disappointed, at the number of houses that are there that should have been raised already, that this commission is doing nothing about. I've seen one house that was raised in, God, is it 3 years since I spoke about this first? So I'd like to know what is going on here. The people in our city need to be represented as much as the corporations. And those corporations who are building new buildings for whatever reason, if there is a house that needs to be raised next to where they're building, that house gets raised lickety-split. So what about the citizens who deserve, since we are here and we are contributing to the city, why are we not treated as well as the corporations? Too many houses that need to be raised that are not raised in our communities where we live, where we would benefit from that before the groundhogs take over. And believe me, they are taking over. That's really what I'd like to know. And I would like to have this commission address that so that when I go around and I talk to those people that I was elected to represent, I have something to say that's positive rather than to say, well, they're doing it for the corporations and it's going to be a trickle-down kind of thing to us. Reagan talked about trickle-down. Reagan's been dead for a long time and it hasn't trickled down.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Okay,
Mr.
thank you.
Watkins.
Hang around, we'll be sure to provide you a list of some of the more than, I'm not sure how many, I know it's hundreds around the city that have been demolished. Okay? Thank you.
Jennifer Evans.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Jennifer Evans.
Morning.
702 Troy Street, Dayton, 45404. I am here today to talk about the fire at 203 Grove, just the other day, immediately behind our property. First, I want to commend the first responders. They came quickly, they did the best that they could, and I have no fault to find with their response. But our problem is that that was a known problem property for a very long time. It was overgrown. There was debris in that yard. There were transients there all the time. There was illegal activity. This was a problem waiting to happen. It ended in a horrible tragedy. The homeowner is dead. The house next door caught fire. They were able to put it out. There is damage, but it was certainly salvageable, but it could have been much worse. This property should have been taken care of a long time ago. But now, even moving forward, they did tear the house down immediately. That fire pile, I fear, will stay there for a very long time. We've already scurried people off of that property that are scrapping. The garage remains with a huge hole in it. That will be the next structure to go. It has to come down, and the stuff has to be removed. There is an abandoned vehicle on the adjacent street that we have been calling about for 2 months. It is still there. I have to believe that probably impeded the progress of those first responders. Yeah. I have lived all but 15 years of my life in the same neighborhood. It is getting very difficult to understand why these problems cannot be addressed. I hope that the vacancy savings and the contract cuts that had to be put into place to maintain our budget have not contributed to this. Saying we don't have enough people or money is not sufficient. We have the same problem in our neighborhood as this gentleman does. Houses have come down. There are still many, many more that need to. We've got to save our neighborhoods or we cannot save our city. Please, please help us. We're doing our part. We need the city to do theirs. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you for
Evans.
your comments.
Bill Beatty.
Wherever.
Commissioners,
State your name and address for the record, please.
my name is Real M. Beatty Jr., 1525 Harvard Boulevard. I'm
Morning.
here. Good morning. I'm here because I've got a situation that developed on December the 31st that I had no knowledge of. I got a call from Code Credit Union saying that $3,300 had been removed from my checking account. And as we began to investigate, we found out that that money came through Right Pat Credit Union, where I had a sharing account, and someone took this money out. I was told to contact the Dayton Police Department, and when I did, an officer came out, took the report. I gave him all this information that I compiled. The officer filed the report. I got a call from a Detective Delaney 2 days later, tried to explain what was going on to her. She got very upset because she didn't understand how it developed. I didn't either until the couple of days I had. And she got enraged because the officer evidently didn't give her this form that I gave him. And so she got irate. She was agitated. I asked to speak to her supervisor, who is Jared King, Sergeant Jared King. I gave him the information, told him. He said she just came back from knee surgery. She was overloaded with work. He asked me to give him a copy of the complaint, email it to him. I emailed it to him on January the 16th, and I haven't heard anything else. Now I've got Code Credit Union Fraud Department. I've got Right Pat Fraud Department. I got Oprah's Fraud Department, all ready to work on this thing, but they can't until they get an official report from the Dayton Police Department, and nothing has been done, and I don't know where to go. I went down to the police department. You can't even get in that building. It's all sealed up. I couldn't leave any paperwork at the front desk, well, not even the front desk, at the front. I don't know what to do, and I need some help. And so I'm coming to you guys to see if I can get some help, because I can't believe I'm the only one going through this. There has to be somebody else who's going through it, and maybe they don't know where to go. So if you could help me, that's what I'm looking for. I have copies of it, all the information right here if you'd like it. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend.
Okay, thank you, sir. So please stay after the meeting, and we'll make sure someone gets in contact with you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you. Mayor, that is all.
Okay, all right. So first off, Ms. Lawton, do you have any closing comments?
I have none, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Jackson, any closing comments?
I have none, Your Honor.
Okay, Commissioners, closing comments. Commissioner Turner-Sloss, closing
Yes.
comments?
Yes, thank you. I just would like to acknowledge all of the staff. First and foremost, let me acknowledge the Recreation and Youth Service Department for the ribbon cutting for the teen center and the game room. Very exciting. There were a number of families that came out in addition to the youth basketball game that was going on. So again, I want to uplift the Recreation and Youth Services Department for all the great work that they're doing and just the innovative things that they're doing to make sure that we continue recreational activities for our families and our youth in the Dayton area. So kudos to Mr. Marcellus and team. And then I also would like to thank Dr. Anthony Whitmore and the entire MLK committee, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. committee, and the number of workshops, the interfaith prayer breakfast that took place at Mount Enon on Friday, a host of events that took place this weekend. I am exhausted, to say the least. But Saturday, there was also a wonderful concert. I got to see Mr. Jonathan. He was there as well. A wonderful concert that took place at Shiloh Baptist Church, well attended, number of members in the choir. It was just an excellent event. And to top everything off, we had the march. It was frigid, cold, but a number of people came out. There were a number of events at Sinclair, Dakota Center, and then the banquet. The banquet was an excellent event as well. Got to meet Reverend Richard, I believe, as well as we had the keynote speaker was excellent. And again, it was just a host of events that took place in commemorating the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So thank you to everyone that came out this past weekend. Mr. Watinza, thank you very much for your comments as it relates to the number of vacant structures that we have in the Southern Dayton View neighborhood. You are correct in regards to the overall upkeep of our neighborhoods and making that investment. And you and Ms. Evans are spot on in regards to us making our neighborhoods a priority. I will send you a list of those properties. There are a number of properties in our area on Cambridge as well as in Lexington. Again, I can provide that information to you. We can go through list by list. That contract, from my understanding, we approved it back in October of '24. There were also some additional firepower contracts that we released, but then we had to turn around and rebid those contracts to remove those. I believe it may have been like 30 to 50 firepowers. Again, so the work is being done, not as aggressively as we like, but again, knowing that there were some things that we had to go back and to revisit in terms of the rebid process for those contracts, those firepower contracts. Ms. Evans, again, thank you very much for your comments. I share your frustration, understand that there is a process, and I will definitely, if we could, Ms. Lofton, if we can get an update on 203 Grove to see where we are in that process, knowing that it has to go through RAPCA and the asbestos removal, whatever have you, and that we can't just immediately remove the firepower. There's a process that it has to go through in testing the materials, and I'm sure you are aware of that process. The other thing that I want to mention too, I'm backpedaling a little bit, Mr. Watinza, as you may have noticed on Broadway, the Tressler Mansion, the debris is being currently removed as we speak, so there is progress that's being made. Again, we still have more work to do, and we're still going to continue to move on that path. Reverend Real Beatty, it's good to see you, sir. Thank you for being here. I'm sorry that you experienced the situation, the theft from your personal account. Ms. Lofton, if you could provide us an update. I know you already have taken notes on that, but if you can provide us with an update so that we can provide Reverend Beatty with more support and assistance. And then I would also like to get a better understanding of what our process is for our residents to file a police report. Understanding that generally an officer may go out to a resident's home or business or whatever have you so that they can take the report on site. But if in fact an individual needs to file a report later or has some additional information that they need to provide, what is that process? Where should they go? How do they go about to complete the necessary paperwork or to receive a report? And then, Mr. Beatty, again, we'll make sure that we follow up with you and provide you with the additional support that is needed. And I believe that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Fairchild.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you, Commissioner. And I affirm all those comments, and many of them covered the issues that I wanted to talk about. I would add my thanks to the MLK organizers, as well as all the citizens who came out to march, as well as the people who came out to Gem City Market. There was an effort to have people come out to Gem City Market after the march, and people honored that invitation, and I encourage people to continue to shop Gem City Market, as well as being over at the West Dayton Social Table and Tap. there were folks who, after the march, made their way there, and really hope folks will continue to support those two businesses that have, particularly those business owners who have, one, it's a cooperative, so it's all of us who have investment into that Gem City market, but also at the West Dayton Social Table and Tap. There are business owners who have taken a risk, into investing in that neighborhood to be the first movers over there, and really want to support them in that work. And then I would just add, in comments around the conditions of our neighborhood and the issue of blighted properties, I think one of the most significant steps we've taken in the last year is that we now have a reporting at the end of each month. And so you can tune in next week and see the update on where we are in our demolition and our fire piles. And I learned early on in my career in a job from a manager who said, you can't manage what you don't measure. And this report helps us to measure our progress, and it's increasing our ability to manage the issues that you bring up around the blighted homes, the fire piles, and the conditions of our neighborhood. One of the things we discovered in this last year is that for every fire pile we get cleaned up in a month, a new fire comes. And we are just kind of treading water on that. And I know we've talked to the city manager about working with our police and fire and public works and neighborhood development to look if there's ways that we can understand better where these where the vulnerabilities are in terms of potential properties to catch fire, and if there's ways that we can intervene. And so I know we're reviewing that, because that's expensive. I mean, when you look at it, there's about 3 fires a month. That's $40,000. It comes up to $1.2, $1.3 million a year. So it's a very expensive issue, just the fires that we have. Additionally, in that report, you'll see that, we have a plan to take down 1,100 properties. You can see how we progress on that. I know we can't get to them all, and even when we get through those, there'll still be work to do. And so I agree with the commissioner. It's not at the pace we would like. It's the pace that we can manage at this moment, and hopefully we can continue to improve on that. So thank you for coming and raising those concerns.
Thank you. Mr. Shaw.
Just briefly. So last week I attended the kickoff event for the next downtown Dayton plan, and encouraged everyone to participate in the community input campaign by sharing feedback now through January 29th to help shape downtown Dayton's future. You can visit the DDP, that is the Downtown Dayton Partnership website, or visit in person to share your thoughts, and we really hope that everyone participates that and gives their input.
Okay, good. Commissioner Joseph.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one thing to add. Incredibly good timing. University of Dayton is hosting the Immigration Justice Community Summit this Saturday. If you're interested in going, we've put a link on our website. Go to the City of Dayton website, click on Welcome Dayton, and you'll see a QR code that you can scan to sign up. I'll be there. Hope to see you there.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank the commissioners for all the information that they shared on the activities of this past weekend, but also just to remind us that we have, we're doing a monthly report from Steve Gondo with all the neighborhood tear downs and removal of blight, fire pits, and those houses that have been demolished as well. It's interesting because we have about 1,500 of those structures across the city that have been designated as nuisance properties. We have money for 1,100. I'm not sure exactly where the county is and where we are at this point in time, but we do have those reports here given by Steve Gondo at the commission meeting, and we're asking that you watch, come, make your comments, of course, like you've done today, and try to keep up, because there's a lot of things happening in that space. We will continue to do that because, as you heard from both Mr. Watenza and Ms. Evans, that these nuisance properties create a problem for all of us, which is why we have stepped up that whole process to make sure you get more and more information about what's happening in those spaces. And we'll make sure that we'll get information from Mr. Steve Gondo to you specifically, and provide additional contacts so that you can find out what's happening in those specific spaces. Because I think having that information helps you a lot, Again, doesn't mean that you have to stop coming down here and raising your concerns. Please don't, okay? But I do want to make sure that you have accurate information about what is happening across the neighborhood. Actually, I think that is it for me. Again, it was already mentioned, but I do want to say, because of the extra cold time that we had this past weekend, and on Monday for the Martin Luther King Jr. March, I give all of us who participated, commissioners, kudos for the hand warmers and toe warmers and extra coats and scarves and hats that you wore to give honor to Dr. Martin Luther King for all of the work that he did throughout his career to improve the quality of life and options for everyone to have all the benefits that are promised to us through our United States Constitution. And with no further business to come before this commission, this meeting is adjourned. And I'd like to say love and peace for all and hatred for none. Thank you.